Presented last year about how we went from 0 to 105 rental doors in a matter of 4 or 5 years with full-time jobs. We have a big audience, and it kind of actually got some traction, so we decided to kind of do a follow-up on that. That's what this presentation is. We're going to kind of go back a little bit and look what we did last year and what we've done since then, and give you guys some points, some lessons learned, some things that we did well, and some things we didn't do well, so hopefully we can all lead as better investors.
Yeah, so this presentation is going to take 45 minutes, not too long, guys. So stay with us for 45 minutes, and then we're going to get to an extended Q&A at the very end. So we'll give you guys plenty of time at the end of this to ask as many questions as you want. 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. So first, we're going to kind of go over who are these dudes, who is Sam and I, and why the heck are we up here standing in front of you guys. So we're going to go over that first. We're going to talk about financial freedom and how we achieved it and how you guys can too. We're going to talk about the BRRRR overview, and no, that is not a misspelling. That's what Sam called it these days, and I'll tell you why. We'll look back at 2020 and just realize what a crazy year that was. And we'll talk about our goals versus what we actually accomplished in 2020. Then we're going to get to what else we've been up to over the past year, not just what goals that we set for ourselves, but other things we've been doing. And then we're going to get into an awesome forecast of what we think is going to happen the rest of this year in 2020 and hopefully for the next 12 months, and talk about our 2021 goals and beyond. And after that, we'll get into Q&A with you guys. So hold your questions to the end. We're going to have a lot of time for Q&A at the end.
Awesome. All right, so I will go first. My name is Sam Krim. That is my beautiful wife, Courtney. Courtney, stand up. I'm not kidding. I'm going to show you that. That's my wife, Courtney, and my daughter, Maisie, and our 3 puppies in our matching Christmas pajamas. I'm not ashamed to say that we do that still. So that's my family. I was born and raised in St. Charles. I went to school down at Missouri State in Springfield. The first year became Missouri State, formerly known as SMS. I worked at Favorite Caterpillar out of college. I got a good job working for a great company out of college, which we can talk a little bit about, but it was a great job, great company. But it wasn't enough for me. I didn't want to just, have a good job and retire with a decent 401k. I wanted more out of myself, and I want to provide more for my family and my family down the line. So that's the reason I'm up here. I went full-time in real estate in 2018. Luke and I started on the side of the years before that. And then I think that it is completely appropriate to wear tennis shoes and socks on the beach. I hate sand in between my toes, so Lucas makes fun of me every time, so I'm just going to own it. And I think it's completely normal. Lucas didn't let me put a picture of me wearing tennis shoes and socks on the beach.
I blame you actually for that. There's my family. Ashley, my wife is here. Please just raise your hand, Ash. There she is back in the corner, of course. But and our 4-year-old son Drake, and my wife Ashley is also pregnant with a soon-to-be baby boy Dax here coming in about a month and a half. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, that's all right. From Defiance, Missouri, so I grew up in the country, running around the woods, getting into trouble, playing sports.
Listen to Eminem, rapping a lot.
Yeah, Eminem and Garth Brooks, kind of weird, right? Graduated from University of Science and Technology, otherwise known as RALA, in 2012. Played a little bit of basketball there and got an engineering degree out of school. And it took me about a month to realize that it was not for me. So Sam and I bought our first rental property about 2 years after I started my full-time job in 2014. Took us a few years to get up to going full-time, and Sam and I went full-time in 2017. And I think it's appropriate, not only appropriate, I welcome it. Recommend to wear your jeans multiple days in a row to get the appropriate office.
Who else wears their jeans multiple days in a row without washing their jeans? All right, so who else wears like shoes and socks on the beach like I do?
Psychopath.
Yeah. All right, so why are we up here in front of you guys? We want to get a few points across. The main one being the power of real estate. Real estate is an extremely powerful investment. Sorry, Bitcoin people, sorry, Forex people, sorry, whatever else investment you're doing. 90% of millionaires are created through real estate. So that Forex, that Bitcoin, that saving in your 401k, whatever other types of investing you're doing, that only makes up 10% of millionaires in this country. So it is the most powerful investing tool. All of the laws that go up and down the chain, but in general, the general laws in the United States allow for people to make a lot of freaking money in real estate. It's extremely powerful. It gets Lucas pumped up every time, right, Lucas?
Yeah, well, I call it the get rich slow, but get rich for sure method.
You did that, not even that slow, which we'll talk about a little bit tonight. So the powerful, we flipped 204 houses last year in our Faster House flipping company. We have bought rental houses, we have bought apartment complexes, and we have bought storage facilities, which we'll talk about tonight. All without using a dime of our own money. You can't do that in any other type of investing. You can't. You have to put money down. You have to put money in. You have to take a lot of risks. So real estate investing, if done well, if done the right way, you don't have to use any of your own money, which in my opinion is extremely powerful. It is the most powerful investing tool. So that's why we're here. We're here to show you some of the power of that, have you get to know us a little bit better, and hopefully learn a few lessons from what we've done and how we do it.
So financial freedom, this is the type of freedom that I craved when I first started my 9-to-5 job. And it's something that I didn't have, and I knew I wanted it, and I knew real estate was a vehicle that was going to get me there. So financial freedom, for those of you who don't know, has a few definitions I just threw together. I didn't look these up, but when your monthly passive income surpasses your monthly living expenses is one. When you no longer have to exchange time for money, you don't have to go clock in at a job 40 hours a week to get a paycheck. And then you never have to go to work again a day in your life. I call it work because Sam and I have achieved this, but we still work because we love real estate.
Financial freedom is not retirement. It's just having the ability to go do things that you want to do, whether that's working, making money, whether it's not. My favorite part about what's up there is it's passive. Everybody here that pays their bills, I guess technically makes it free to pay your bill and save a little bit of money every month, but this financial freedom real estate is a passive way to do it, that you collect mail-out money every single month from your rentals and companies.
So a lot of people think that this is just a facade. It's not possible. Who here thinks financial freedom is possible? Raise your hand. Love it.
Yeah.
That's why you guys are here tonight, right?
Better be.
All right. So who here wants to achieve financial freedom? Anybody willing to share why? Share why? Go ahead.
I believe that there's more to life than giving. I mean, you only have one life. Why waste every single minute at a job when they don't value your time? You're gonna, get paid for an hour and $15. I think my time is worth more than $15 an hour. I agree.
Awesome. Anybody else want to talk?
Anthony.
I believe, me and my wife believe that when you're financially free, you're able to help other people in other areas. When you're tied down to a 9-to-5, working 12, 13 hours, you're not really free to help other people. And I think our purpose is to help other people, whether it's through marriage, whether some people with mental disabilities. It frees up your time when you're not bogged down working a 9-to-5 and working overtime just to make it easy.
One more.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Anybody else over here? All right. I'm not giving you the mic, that's the leadership. Take over the whole presentation.
You still sit down? It's just more fun. Like everything about it is just more fun. Life's more fun, it's less stressful. It's a party, right? So freedom in general is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I believe financial freedom is the first step to that. So it just helps you live your life the way you want to live it, for sure. Thanks everybody for chiming in there. So the way we achieved financial freedom was through rental properties. So most of our rental properties that we'll buy using the BRRRR strategy, which we'll get into later, have about $30,000 worth of equity, and they cash flow about $200 a month. And everybody, all the fix and flippers out there, the wholesalers are like, why do you want a house for $200 a month? Because you don't buy this one, you buy multiple houses, and it adds up quick. And I'll show you an example real quick. So everybody kind of has a different financial freedom number, right? So if you had 10 of these houses, you have 300 grand of equity with $2,000 a month in cash flow. I don't know, that wouldn't make a lot of people financially free, but that would be close, right? So if you have 20 of these houses, you have $600,000 in equity and a cash flow passively of $4,000 a month. Now we're getting close. Who would that make financially free in this room? A few, right? What about 50 of them? You're now a millionaire, $1.5 million worth of equity and cash flow at $10,000 a month passively. Who here would that make financially free? Agreed. Yeah, that was my number two when I first started getting started. And we did 50 in 3 years. So it's super possible to accelerate retirement or whatever life that you want to live. So let's have a little fun now. 100 of them, 3 million in equity, 20 grand a month cash flow. I think I can live off that. 200 of them, 6 million in equity, 40 grand a month in cash flow. And then 500, 15 million in equity, $100,000 a month. And that's what Sam and I are shooting for right now.
Look at all that math I did right up there.
I don't think you did that.
I did most of it. All right, so how we did that, it's the BRRRR method is what it's called. If any of you are familiar with bigger pockets or done any type of research on real estate investing and getting the rentals, you might be familiar with the BRRRR method, which is the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. As you can see, Shazad and I did a little change to that to try and make it a little more impactful, a little more deep to which we'll get into. So here's what you do. You buy a piece of property. It doesn't have to be a house, but we're going to use the house as an example because that's easy. You buy a house at a discount. That is the key, but use other people's money to do it. That can be a hard money lender, it can be a private money lender, it can be a lot of different things, but use somebody else's money to buy a house. And you buy it at a discount because it needs work. That's the formula you use. We're not going to get into that too much tonight, but it's the formula that you use to make sure you're buying a house at enough of a discount. So you use other people's money to buy it, and then use other people's money to fix it up. Now, we'll talk a little bit more tonight. Think there's risk there, right? You just borrow money, but if you do it the right way, you do enough of a discount, there's very little risk in doing that, in my opinion. So now that you've got a bought house with somebody else's money and a fixed-up house with somebody else's money, how do you get them their money back without using any of your own money? Well, the first thing you do is you get the property rented. It is extremely easy to rent fresh and rehab houses. That's part of the beauty of this. You just fix up the house. And we're going to do a quick, simple example after this to drive this home. So don't get too caught up if it's your first time hearing it. It takes a few times to understand it. But you have a house that you bought somebody else's money. You fix it up with their money. Next thing you do is get it rented. It is very easy to rent fresh and rehab houses. And the next thing you do, this is the big part. This is where you take the house to, like American Bank we talked about earlier, a small local bank. Not your Bank of America, not your Commerce Banks. These are small local banks. First State Bank of this county. Those types of banks, their whole, or not their whole business, but a majority of their business is doing loans like this to people like you and I. They don't have billions of depository accounts like Bank of America has. They don't sell off their notes on the secondary markets like Fannie and Freddie Mac, like Bank of America, Commerce Bank, all those banks do. They hold these notes in-house and make money on interest, so they have a lot more flexibility. So you take that fixed up rented house to them. They will send out a third-party appraiser. The appraiser will appraise the property and they will say what the market value is. The fact that you bought it at a discount and added value, granted somebody else's money, it'll appraise for hopefully, if your money numbers right, much more than you had in it. Then they will write you a check. This is crazy. They will literally write you a cashier's check for 80% of the appraised value. Like I said, we'll have numbers here in a second, but they will write you a cashier's check for that. You take that cashier's check and you pay back that original person who lent you the money for the purchase and fix up. Plus interest, obviously, they want to get money on their investments. And then now you owe the bank that refinance money that they gave you, but you owe them that over the next 25 years at 5%. A very, very small, reasonable amount, and then you're collecting rent. So the rent pays for all of your own expenses plus the mortgage. So now you own a rental property that you save your own money for, you have equity in it, it cash flows, and then you can repeat or you can scale, which I'm going to go talk about here in a minute. I'm going to talk about how you do scale. Hopefully, most of you know what the word scale means, but it's also an acronym, just like Bert, we're going to get into. And then, that is how you reach the Millionaire Trifecta.
Can anybody tell that Sam does that about 3 times a day on TikTok?
Yes. Lucas, do you know what the Millionaire Trifecta is?
Something with some arrows that we're going to get too soon.
Yeah, I just made it up as a good presentation, but it makes sense. A little foreshadowing for you in the future. So here's what it means to scale. So you need to create systems and processes around each of the letters. So yeah, you do one time, that's awesome, but you need to get better at it, you need to get more efficient at it. You need to, hopefully want to do it 10, 20, 30 times a year. However, it's unlimited. You have 10 residential mortgages, but you can have unlimited mortgages in an LLC. So how do you do that? You just create systems and processes around buying houses, around rehabbing houses, around renting houses, and around refinancing. So you got to take the discipline and time to create systems and create processes around each step. And the next thing you do is you get involved in your local community, which most of you, all of you are obviously here doing that. So you go to your local meetups, you join your local Facebook groups, you just get involved in the community because you're not going to do this on your own. You have to find people to buy a house, to get renters, to fix up the house. So you need to get involved in your local community and coaching. Accountability, that one is a big one. I also usually, but you need to have an accountability partner. growing this and getting it to enough of a scale so you can become financially free is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. There's a difference. So having an accountability partner, either as a business partner or just somebody that's doing it as well, you need to have somebody hold you accountable. This is one extremely important one, kind of gets lost in the whole fray of all this, but it's extremely important. Then obviously, if you're going to scale and buy more houses, you need to get more leads. So if you want to buy 20 houses, you're probably going to look at 100, 120. So you need to increase your lead flow by creating systems, by going out and joining local groups, by having accountability. So that all ties together. So that's an important part. And then we had that extra funding scout. It's not really a word, so we had to put extra in there, but you do need to get extra funding in the initial purchase stage. You're going to need several private lenders, several hard money lenders, and then you really need to look at extra funding as far as the refinance stage goes with smaller banks. So you do everything you did, and then you scale and take each of these steps one at a time, and that's how you grow and get to the Millionaire Factor, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So here's a great example of it. You buy a house for $100,000 with faster fund plan. And then you put $50,000 into it. If you buy a good enough deal, they will lend you $50,000. So you have $150,000 of their money in the deal at a fixed up property. Then you get a rent for $2,000 a month, which is around what we probably rent for, especially in this market. And then you take it to a small local bank and you add a value, so the property appraised for $200,000 because you it needed 50 grand worth of work. The kitchen was falling apart. There was maybe some foundation issues. It was not very livable if you put $50,000 into 1,200 square foot house. So the price for $200,000, they write you a check for 80% of that, which is 160. Obviously, this math's going to work out well. So you use that $160,000 to pay back the other person that lent you the money plus interest. So they're probably not going to make 10, so you keep the rest of it if your returns aren't at $10,000, whatever the interest boils down to. So you can pay them back and keep some money tax-free, or if you're paying a little bit more interest, it is what it is, but now you own the rental property in your scale. So that's the version method.
Very good, thank you, Sam. So let's start to look back at 2020 and figure out what the heck happened over the past year. So January 16th, 2020, a little over a year ago, does anybody know what happened that day, January 16th?
It was cold.
Well, yes, we were here. We gave a very similar presentation. Me in a very similar outfit is up there. I think I changed out my jacket.
That's it, same shoes.
Yep, same jeans that I've worn 3 days in a row. But yeah, we tried to quote unquote predict what the market would do for you in 2020. But man, we had a good feeling of what the market was going to do, but with COVID hitting and everything, it was just an unbelievable turn of events.
All right, so here's what I'll
Yeah. So here's what our portfolio looked like in January of 2020. So a little over a year ago, we gave this presentation. This exact slide was in there. We had 105 residential doors. 52 of them were single-family rentals. That's what SFRs means. 53 of them were apartment doors. A 32-unit, 12-unit, 9-unit. We had 12 self-storage units. So very little self-storage at the time. We had a market value of our portfolio of around $8 million at the time. And we were at about 64% loan to value.
So here is the exact slide we took from that presentation as well. I did highlight the red there, but we said that the market was going to be strong for 2020, barring a trade war, a real war, or an economic crisis. Now, did something kind of crazy happen in 2020? Yes, you should be nodding your head. But the real estate market, which we'll talk more about, it kept going. So even with that economic crisis that did happen, the real estate market, for reasons we'll talk about it a little bit, kept pushing through. And then single family rentals are becoming one of the best investments you can make, and that is still the case. And Brian, you got started, it was probably kind of more of a little hidden gem. There wasn't a bunch of Wall Street money and hedge funds in the single family rental market, but there are now. It is getting recognized by a lot of people with a lot of money as one of the best places to put your money. And that is still the case, so nothing really changed there in the last year. This is what we said, there's no huge bubble to burst. There's most likely not going to be any drastic movement because there's not a bunch of risk loans. Back in 2007, 2008, there was a lot of risk loans lent out to people that cultures was way more than they could have. And that is simply not the case. In the beginning of 2020, that's not the case now. For the most part, right now, people can't afford the houses they're living in. And then the Midwest is a solid place to invest. I think hopefully most of you know that are here. We don't get the crazy highs that you'll get over on the coast, but we also don't get the crazy lows. It's a very stable place. It is the best place to have rental properties in the country. And then as well, it's a good place to flip and wholesale as well. So you don't get any crazy ups and downs. And then also, interest rates greatly affect what's going on, which we'll talk a little bit about again. I don't keep saying that, but the interest rate goes up a little bit, means people's monthly payments go up, so they're not going to pay as much for houses. So keep an eye on interest rates moving forward, which I think, for the most part, they're going to stay pretty low for a while. So that's what we decided that we thought 2020 was going to look like.
Yeah.
For the most part, we're pretty solid.
Right, we showed you that to give ourselves a little bit of credibility to pat on the back, because we're gonna forecast the market for this year for you guys as well. So our goals back last year were to buy 12 single-family rentals, get up to 64. And this was in January, before COVID hit, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, so, and we're also gonna purchase a commercial and multifamily building. We wanted to improve our property management systems, and also we wanted to increase cash reserves. We had a pretty big business that without the cushion that we wanted to have in case something crazy happened. Guess what? Something crazy happened.
Yeah, so and we're gonna have our accountability we talked about. We're gonna go through each one of these and show you what we did and if we reached those goals. So the first one is add 12 single-family rentals to get to 64. So currently our single-family rental portfolio sits at 71. We have added 19 single-family rentals since then, and that was a majority of the time. That was from about March to September, you say. We kind of took a little bit of a hiatus this winter because we were doing a lot of other things and not getting not buying too many rentals. So the majority of that was in about 6 months.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to note is here, I remember vividly our conversation with our trusted advisors and our business partners, should we sell our portfolio? Like pretty much, I don't know, March 11th, when the world was going crazy, should we sell our portfolio? Should we continue to buy rentals? And it was a decision that we had to make to continue to buy those rentals. And it's a decision that's really paid off for us so far.
Yeah, for sure. So here's just a couple more properties we bought. We love 3-bed, 2-bath houses in nice areas where people want to live. We don't own and we don't, preach that, more slumlord type, just, get whoever you can. We have nice houses, we have great tenants, and that kind of goes to show that we have 125 tenants now, 24 tenants, and we had 2, I think, that we had issues with all of last year. Of course you have your ups and downs and everything, but that's the reason we do that. I know a lot of landlords that have 2 houses, or they have a lot of houses that don't treat their tenants well, and they don't respect their tenants, and their tenants don't respect them back. If you respect your tenants, most of the time they're going to respect you back. So that's what we did and built our own portfolio, and it really paid off. Last year was a great example of that.
So another one of our goals was to purchase a commercial or multifamily property. So we did not purchase a multifamily property. We have the same doors now as we did in January of 2020. So I do think the apartment multifamily world just got hit a little bit harder than the single families out there, with not as much room or space and people kind of, exiting the city to a degree. So that was a conscious decision that we made, was to hold off on the apartments for at least a year to see kind of what was going to happen. But we did kind of jump into the self-storage game. So currently we have 78 self-storage units with 83 more under construction and 60 more under contract to purchase with some awesome partners in this room wherever you're at. So this is kind of our self-storage facility. That's what the site looks like. It came with 3 existing buildings with a total of about 66 units. And those 66 units were on about an acre of land. And then there was 3 acres that was undeveloped. And you can see the picture of those. They look kind of dingy, kind of crappy, not somewhere where I would want to store my stuff.
I didn't click forward, I was pointing.
I appreciate that. You're an excellent pointer.
Thank you.
And we purchased this property for $360,000. All right, so our game plan was to improve the existing units, number 1. So we had to paint them. And part of our plan was to construct some new units. So we paint match what the new units are going to look like, exactly what our old units look like now. So we painted them. We had some security cameras, gates, lighting, and then we also did some gravel to freshen it up and make it look nice. because some marketing, we rebranded, it wasn't called Troy Storage Solutions when we bought the place, but we
It's in Troy, Missouri, I know we said that, that's why it's called Troy.
Yes. And so we rebranded, put an awesome sign out front that was handmade by our project manager, started a Facebook page, and then also got recognized on Google as well. So when people are looking for storage in Troy, our name pops up.
Yeah, when we bought this, it had 4 numbers. I think you could see like 4 different cell phone numbers to call, no website, no Facebook page or anything, so it definitely lacked in the marketing space.
A couple other pictures of us improving the existing units. So phase 3 was to construct some new buildings, and there you can see a picture of the new buildings getting hauled to the site before we construct them. We got 63 units planned and another 28 parking spots for both RV and storage planned as well. And the picture on the right there is a footing that we poured pretty recently for one of the new buildings. And the planned improvements are going to cost about $475,000. There's some other pictures of getting the pad prep for the building as well.
And we'll talk a little bit about the sizes of the units. We did look at a market research and called all the other storage facilities in town to see what was on the wait list, what wasn't, what was available, and what was on the wait list was a lot of big storage needs, you know, like a boat and RV indoor storage. So that's the building we made audible there about having halfway through the construction plan.
Especially like more rural parts of town, those 10 by 20 and up units are really in high demand. And we got a couple like 5 by 7s that nobody wants, at least in our part of town that we're at. So final numbers look like this. So we purchased for $360. We're going to put in $475,000. So we're all in this project for about $835,000, and we'll be finished in a month or 2 with construction. So we'll end up with 129 enclosed storage units and 28 open parking spaces. We project this value based off cash flow to be about $1.3 million when we're done with this project. So that'll get us sitting at about 64% loan to value.
Why does it say BRRRRs up there, Lucas?
Yeah. So we put BRRRRs up there just to show you guys that you can't do the BRRRR method on any type of cash flowing property that you buy at a discount. So we're gonna BRRRR out of this deal, refinance at 1.3, and probably bring that loan to 75% or so, and maybe pull out a little money for reserves and be cash flowing about $3,500 a month. So it just goes to show you can use the BRRRR strategy for a lot of different types of asset classes.
And I think running the numbers, if we wanted to go up to 75%, which is still secure, we should be able to pull out $150,000, is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
So you can pull out good chunks of money and then projected cash flow, about $3,500 a month, so.
So it's a pretty cool project. We're not quite there, but we'll let you guys know maybe 2022 how it went.
Yeah. All right, so another goal we had was to improve our property management systems. So what we did was we partnered with people that are really freaking good at property management, which was Brian and Debbie and their property management company too. So we started Greater SEL Rentals. It manages myself and Lucas's rental portfolio of single-family houses, as well as Brian and Debbie's. You know, we merged with our company, so now we have a great property management company to manage our single-family rentals. So there's our logo. And then we still have our lot management, a little bit more foreshadowing for you, WP management there for you. That manages our apartment complexes, it manages our self-storage facilities, as well as our development and construction that we're currently doing and going to be doing in the future. So we kind of have 2 different property management companies, which managing, $1,500 a month tenant at a nice house is a lot different than, managing a self-storage facility. So we kind of made the decision, which we're very happy with. Both companies are happy with, having 2 separate companies run the 2 different wings of our loan portfolio. So that one is definitely a check.
So increased cash reserve. So at the beginning of the year, this was beginning of 2020, this was a huge goal for us. We needed a big chunk of cash as a cushion. And the way we looked at going about doing that was doing a portfolio refinance. So some of our numbers on our portfolio look like this, and I'll show you exactly how we did it. So our portfolio in January of 2020 was worth about $8 million, and we had a loan, lots of loans on it for about $5.1 million. Yes, got that right. 64% loan to value. Okay, we had about 60 different loan term or loans out at the time, with ranging from 5 to 6% interest rates. ranging from 20 to 25 year ends. And these were all on 3-year adjustable rate mortgages. So every third year, you have to get these notes renewed. It was kind of a pain in the ass, and interest rates can go up, interest rates can go down. When you buy a personal house and move in, a lot of times you get that 30-year fix, and your interest rates are fixed. But investment properties, a lot of times they're on 3 or 5 year arms, is what we call them.
Yeah, it's very, very common. Pretty much everybody has loans in here has the same types of terms.
So what we did was, obviously our portfolio value didn't change, but we took our debt amount from 5.1 up to 6 million. So we brought it up to 75%. So we're still at a safe position, and the bank's at a safe position. And we took those 60 plus different loans and brought it down to about 4 loans. And those 4 loans were at 4.5%, 30-year AM, and the 10 fixed for 10 years at 4.5%. So we took advantage of the rising property values in the low interest rate environment. You don't have to have an $8 million portfolio to take advantage of something like this. You can do this with a handful of rentals and pull out 10, 20, 100 grand and have that as a nice reserve for you guys. So though we increased our debt, we also increased our cash flow $6,000 a month just by our new loan terms.
Want me to do the best part?
Yeah. And for creating a cushion for us, we were able to put $880,000 in our bank account as a cushion.
And so it's tax-free money. It's just like you're refinancing your personal house. You don't pay taxes on the refinance money that you pull out. Yes, that $880,000 got put back in a mortgage at very reasonable terms, but we were able to take out $880,000 of tax-free money that we could put in the bank, pay a few things off, and just feel secure for whatever the heck happens next, and last year and whatever's going to happen next. So this was a huge turning point for our rental portfolio.
For sure. So even with COVID, we knocked out our goals. Go ahead, Sam. Yep. So a snapshot of what our portfolio looks like today, March 2021, 124 residential doors, 71 of them are single family rentals. We still have 53 apartment doors. Self-storage, we kind of already went through. We got 78 now, 83 under construction, 60 more under contract to purchase. Our market value of our portfolio now is 12.6 million, and we're about 64% LTV, and a lot of that was because of appreciation that we've seen over the past 12 months.
So that's what we want to talk a little bit about here right now is how and why property values go up. It's because of appreciation and inflation together. Appreciation is just the increase in an asset going up in value. Inflation is the decline, actually it's the decline of what a dollar is worth. The more inflation, the less your dollar is worth. But those two things added together means that rising prices for hard assets, which is real estate. So add those two things together and your property goes up in value without touching. We're not talking about debt pay down. We're not talking about cash flow. We are just talking about something happening, whether you're sleeping, whether you're doing, as long as you're taking care of the property and not letting it go to hell, as long as you're not letting it deteriorate, as long as you're keeping general maintenance on it, it's going to go up in value. It's going to go up a lot in value. Last year we saw well over a 10% increase in almost every submarket.
Is that normal, Sam?
It's not. Appreciation is usually in the real estate pretty much mirrors inflation, and the Fed sets at 2-3%. Inflation for real estate is usually around that 3-4%. So it was at least 10%, if not more, just growing in value. So basically, it would be like you're getting a 10% return on your stocks just by not doing anything. Our portfolio is kind of small writing. Sorry about that. Our portfolio rose over $1 million last year in value without us doing anything. That's not adding. That's not the self-storage we had. That's not the cash out refinance we did. That's not the cash flow we collected. It rose at over $1 million from what we had it in January of 2020 to January 2021. It went up $1 million. But wait, here's your first foreshadowing. So this is the Millionaire Trifecta that I made up. A lot of it, I did it on a few TikTok lives.
Doesn't mean it's not true.
Doesn't mean it's not true. I did it on a few TikTok lives and some Instagram lives and a few things just to let people see the value of all three of these things working together. All three of these things together I'm about to show you. Lucas and I currently make $2,500 a day with all these three things working together. Properties go up in value every single day. That's what it does in aggregate. Yes, there's some dips. Yes, 08 happened. I get all that. But properties go up in value. You can't buy anything for a year, which you could, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. So properties go up in value every day. Tenants pay the note down. This is the awesome part. The tenant is paying the note down. So you owe money and you have to pay it, but the tenant pays it. So the property goes up, the tenant pays the note down. Those are opposing forces working together that puts money in your pocket and net worth to your net worth statement. And then cash flow. So you add all three of those things in together, and that is where you get true passive, not, a little bit of money. That's where you get true passive wealth. That's where we currently make $2,500 a day. All three of those things working together. And even without crazy appreciation, you still get cash flow and you still get that paid out. So that's kind of the beauty of rental properties. And that's why people are becoming millionaires through owning rental properties, not through wholesaling, not through fixing and flipping. That's great active income. But if you want to create true passive wealth, true financial freedom, you need all three of those things working together. And it's a beautiful sight to step there. It's a great catchy market. Don't you think?
I think so. I think the moral of the story is buy some rental properties, right?
Yes, for sure.
All right, so there's a few pictures on the next slide that Sam and I took last weekend, right?
Yeah, we took these pictures last weekend because we said this next slide is what's up next. Like, what are we doing now? Like, what else are we doing? We didn't really know pictures of it. So this is from last weekend we took. Or not from last weekend. That was from back in college. Lucas, I was putting the finishing touches on the presentation yesterday, and it said, what the heck else have we been up to? So I was just decided to put a bunch of a few pictures of us just to kind of fill the space. So that is not this last weekend. That one on the far right over here, it is me on my 21st birthday. Each of those check marks is a shot I took. Sorry, Mom. She's the she knows.
All right, so another look back in 2020. So August 6, 2020. Does anybody know what happened this day?
I do.
This was the day
I know.
that Cardi B released her glorious song. Who knows what
If you don't know what WP stands for, ask your neighbor.
Waffles and pancakes. Man, I love that song, right? But it made a few things difficult, right?
Yeah.
So we had, I have this, a sign up in the background when I do a lot of social media stuff, and everybody thinks we named our company after that song. Our company's been around a lot longer than that song, so it's obviously a joke. There's no copyright infringement, but it was about time to get that changed a little bit. Our maintenance tech and a lot of our people got asked all the time from tenants and from different perspective people if we named our company after that extremely inappropriate song that I don't like.
I love it. So we still rock the hats, but we made the decision to kind of rebrand and change our name to Midwest Property Group. So who knows if Cardi B's going to come out with a song called MW, but we're going to take our chances this time.
She is now.
Yeah, she is now. This is the logo and the branding that we're known that we're going to be going forward with from our tenants and from our development and everything. We're more professional than a professional public logo. So that was interesting. All right, so another kind of big thing we did last year was we had a education company called Faster Freedom, which you saw me introduce earlier, and you may know by following anything that we do. But we decided to get into social media, and I'm going to talk about why, because there's a lot of power in social media. So we wanted to do that to give away free information. We really do. We have a mindset of abundance. The more we teach people how to buy properties at a discount, the chances are maybe we'll buy them from them and turn it as a rental, or maybe we can sell a wholesale to them, as well as helping people grow their rental portfolios and grow their real estate investing careers. So that was the first part of it. We wanted to grow brand and get the following to monetize. So the more people that know your name, the better. So we're in the process of, we just started not too long ago. Next slide, I'll talk about the dates we started, but trying to grow that bigger pockets type brand. And people think of Faster Freedom, they think of, some of the best real estate investors and some of the people that are actually doing it all day, every day, teaching it. And then we don't have to spend as much on marketing, right? To get myself and our team and any of our content in front of TikTok, millions of people, that costs a lot of freaking money to pay for it. But if you grow a brand and have a social media following, you can do it all for free, just a little bit of your time. And then it is fun to do that. It can be frustrating at times, but it's fun to to do that. Yeah, you get some hate, you get all that kind of stuff. It just is what it is, but it's a lot of fun to do. And it scratches a little bit of the creative itch. It's just kind of fun to always be thinking of new content, putting something out there, getting excited. If nobody watched it, put something else out there, hopefully, and then when things catch on. It's a lot of fun and it scratches that itch. But the biggest reason, and I'll talk for a couple seconds about this, is the power of bringing it. Lucas and I are involved in Collective Genius, a mastermind, a national mastermind. We travel with all of the best investors from around the entire country, guys that make us look like nothing. And we had a lot of talks about that last week we were out in Arizona. Growing a brand is the future. Directors are, and I know this is bigger picture stuff, but directors are starting to, and there's going on, interviews and stating that they are going to pick actors that have a higher and bigger social media following than actors that are even better because they understand the power of that brand. Sorry, Ben. Sorry, Ben. There you go. So there's a ton of power in that. The Kardashians started this. Yeah, they got from the TV, but they're not actors. They didn't do anything. Came to a couple of things first, but it's not going down that path. But they didn't do anything special. So getting in front of people and letting them see, you don't have to have a TV anymore. Everybody can do it with the phone that's in their pocket. And there's endless possibilities to growing a loyal brand following, and it's going to be the future. There's 99% of people on social media consume, 1% create. So there's a lot of room for this. So it's not comfortable being on camera. Lucas doesn't believe me, but I still don't love it all the time, and I definitely didn't like it at first. But the possibilities are endless with getting people following you, growing up brand. A couple guys in Collective Genius, one of them has a pretty big social media following, and Lucas, you said the name, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is a basketball player. He plays for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's a two-time league MVP. He just signed a $250 million contract. And Ryan Pineda, who I'm friends with, he has a social media following. The basketball player, one of the best basketball players in the world, not the best ever, like LeBron James, sorry, but he reached out to him on Instagram, and now he pays Ryan a lot of money for him to give suggestions on where to invest his money. He would have never came across a professional NBA player's radar without doing that. So I know a lot of this is big scale stuff, but there's no reason why you shouldn't want to, if you kind of, if you think it's someone interesting to get into, the possibilities are endless and it's going to keep growing. So that's what I discovered along the way to growing a following. I have people reach out to me a few times a week on Instagram, trying to have me wear things and do things just because I have a few eyeballs on me. So it's pretty crazy. But I do want to know that if you're going to do it for fun, just do it for fun. But if you want to do this to grow a brand, it is a job. That's my wife, right, Courtney? It is exhausting. Always going online. So tread carefully. If you want to grow a brand and you're going to post once a week, Jennifer Downey, you grow a brand. But if you want to grow a brand, you can't do that. You got to do it on a consistent basis.
Wow.
You got to post at least once a day on the different platforms. So it can be a job. If you wanted to bring you a following, and if you want to get people following you, it's a lot of work. So just know that. But if you want to do it for fun, just do it for fun. So it's definitely something crazy we got into this year. So
Which platform do you recommend for these guys?
TikTok, 100%. TikTok, can drive all your other platforms. So you can start the other platforms, and when I started TikTok, I got on the board a little too late, but still I got in kind of early. All of our other social media grew like crazy as soon as TikTok started to grow. It is not just an app for dancing and inappropriate things. There's a lot of really, really good knowledge on there, and it's not near saturated. So we launched YouTube in February 24th of last year. So we were pretty good. We're up to 25,000 followers there. On Instagram, we launched that the next day. We're up to 35,000. But TikTok, we didn't launch, about 17 months ago. That's up to 904,000 followers. So all those things combined, we're creeping up. Hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll get over 1 million followers. We don't do anything fancy. I don't do anything fancy on there. I don't dance, don't sing. Just talk about what we're going through. Try to be relatable. Say what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, just through your life. People like to relate to normal people. Not everybody wants to follow Jason Derulo on TikTok. They want to follow people that are doing things that they want to do. Doesn't have to be professional. You're doing your camera. You don't have to have this good production crew. So it's been pretty exciting growing that audience, and that's our entire funnel. We don't get any leads in our education company from marketing at this time. We have 41 mastermind members, and I think we have close to 60 people have signed up for our Live Rental Academy, and it's all just through, hey, I saw you on TikTok, I went to your Instagram, saw you're legit, watched a couple YouTube videos, And yes, I would gladly use some money to teach me how to invest in real estate. So that's pretty powerful, and it's just gonna keep getting more powerful as we grow.
Awesome. So our mission here at Faster House is to improve, serve, and support the community. And we've been kind of outgrowing our office over in Newtown for a few months, maybe even a year now. So we're trying to figure out ways to improve, serve, and support the community better. And one of the ways that we came up with to do this is to get all of our businesses under one roof. Right now, most of you guys know, our main investment office is in Newtown, St. Charles, and our main traditional real estate office is in O'Fallon or Darden Prairie. So these are our businesses that we want to get under one roof. Buyers Club, Faster Freedom, Greater STL Rentals, Faster House, our flipping company, Magnolia, Faster Funds Lending, and of course, Midwest Property Group. But in order to do that, we didn't know where to go. So what we did was we bought an office building. Sam, myself, Brian, Debbie, Matt Becker, Suzanne, am I missing anybody there? We bought this building out in O'Fallon, 25,000 square foot building, and we're gonna do a large renovation on it. We're gonna move everybody in there, hopefully sometime later this year.
Yeah, we'll show you a couple pictures of it and then kind of show you just the floor plan, because it's kind of fun. We're pretty excited about it. So it was a medical building that was partially used. A lot of open space that we're going to be able to make it however we want it. We're going through architecture things right now. There was a couple medical offices up there that unfortunately we're gonna have to tear out because a lot of really nice stuff, but it's just not laid out how we want it. So that's the layout of the first floor. So just quickly, you can notice right here, this is where we're thinking we'd like to host Buyers Club. So we really put that Buyers Club in our own building. Sorry, Water's Edge, our contract's up about the time this will be done. But, so we're gonna hold Buyers Club there and have a bar and be able to rent the space out to banquet space. Have True Title, our title company will all the time, gonna have some space. And right here, we are going to, and plans may change a little bit, but in general, we are going to have some co-working space. We're gonna have some conference rooms, we're gonna have some closed offices, we're gonna have some open space and open seating for people to rent by the room or by the seat. And we think it's a pretty fun opportunity to bring the community, hopefully the real estate investing community in to our building. So this is down the line, we're talking September, October finish, but just wanted to put that on a lot of your radars, because you came here, you're part of our family, our same community, and there's gonna be space to rent if you guys need an office or conference room. So we're excited to kind of bring you guys in further to what we're doing. So that's gonna be fun. So contact any of us as the next few months go by. If you're interested in having an address that you can send mail to and an office that you have meetings in, full-time or, just part-time as well. So we're pretty excited about that. Not going into too much detail here. This is the second floor. This is where all of our companies will be, all together, all working together with some conference room meetings, and we're pretty excited about it. So I'm sure the plans will change a little bit, but it's going to be a cool space that all our companies will benefit from, and hopefully you guys too, as we grow companies and grow opportunities to work with you guys as well as that co-working space.
So what else have we been up to? Start another company, of course. That's what we do, right? With this company, we're gonna make a lot of money too, right?
No.
No, this is a nonprofit company that we started. So everybody on our team loves giving, loves donating, loves giving their time. And we've all done it in kind of a haphazard way, so to speak, where everybody just winging it on their own. And we thought if we started our own giving organization, that we could help so many more people. So we did. And that company is called Greater Giving. Greater Giving is a nonprofit 501c3 dedicated to the awareness, education, and advocacy of mental health in our community. So our goal this year in 2021 is to raise $100,000. Faster House companies will help fund that, as well as payroll deductions from our employees and agents that want to support Greater Giving as well. We're going to hold some fundraising events. Oh, Matt Becker, where's Matt Becker? He's going to hold some awesome fundraising events for us at the end of this year. It's going to be a lot of fun, maybe a trivia night, maybe a golf tournament, but you guys will all be invited. It'll be a hell of a night. And from outside sponsors and stuff, because Greater Giving is a one-stop shop to donate. If you want to donate, want to give, this is the company to do it to. We will treat your money like gold, because we are going to work with local nonprofits in our community to figure out where they need help, where they need resources, and dedicate this money and our time to those companies, especially the ones that are, in support and helping children and families and adults with mental health.
Yeah, I think mental health is a big thing that was something that people didn't really used to want to talk about. It used to kind of be taboo, but now it's becoming more of a normal thing for people to talk about, and we want to support that. We can help people from, little kids all the way up to grown adults deal with mental health. So it's a great, thing for us to hatch our wagon onto and help support as well. All right, so just so you know, because there's 2 or 3 drinks over there. People keep drinking Tito's and cup sodas. They're just sitting over there if you want one.
Thursday.
I got one up here still, so if you want one, go get it. But all right, so now let's get into the real estate market. What do you think is going to happen in 2021? So the market is on fire, as Brian and Merle alluded to earlier. It's the hottest market they've ever seen. I can't imagine much more hot of a market. I get, talk to people all the time from all over the country. Rhode Island, we're so crazy out here. We're crazy out in Texas. It's crazy out in Oregon. It's crazy everywhere right now. The market is on fire. Why? Why is the market on fire? It's actually pretty simple. It's a simple relationship between supply and demand. There is not enough houses out there for people that are looking for houses. Home builders can't keep up for several reasons. One of them being the fact that the supply chain got shut down a little bit during COVID. Another one being that after 2008, a lot of home builders didn't build homes for 7 or 8 years, and that's never happened in the history of the United States residential house building. It's never just going to stop. So there's just not enough houses out there. And then also the demand is still there. I don't know if the demand is crazy high, but the demand is normal compared to what it should be right now, maybe a little bit higher, but the supply is so low. The biggest reason the demand is high, I think, is the interest rates. If interest rates are crazy low and stay crazy low, people can afford a lot of house and they want to take advantage of those low rates because hate to break it to you, they're not going to be this low forever. These are crazy low rates. So that's why people are wanting to buy. Helicopter money. The government just keeps shoving money down people's throats, and a lot of them want to do something with it. Obviously some people go, pay rent or buy a flat screen TV or whatever, but you can use that towards purchasing houses. And then there's, potential, in my opinion, very short-term exodus of the cities. I think that I'm not super worried about any cities getting, shut down because everybody's moving out of it. But there are people that, for the short term, in my opinion, want to get out of the cities for a while. I think they're going to go back when they're used to living in the city their whole life. They're going to be bored. But right now, there are more people. So the fact that supply is so low, for the reason I talked about, a lot of people just didn't want people in their house last year. So the supply is so low, demand is so high, interest rates are so low, that's the main 3 reasons why the market is just crazy right now.
Yeah, the affordability factor is huge to me. Like, we look at these crazy market values and prices that these houses are selling for, and it's nuts, I get it, but the monthly payments that people are making are lower than ever. So you can afford a much more expensive house than you could, say, a year and a half ago.
And I may regret saying this, but everybody keeps predicting a crash. You see it on YouTube thumbnails, you see it like, I'm going to wait to invest for the crash. Well, I don't know that there's ever going to be a crash like 2008, maybe a fender bender or something along those lines, but it's just something that I don't see any major shift happening anytime in the near future, because I don't see either 3 of those things changing drastically in the next 12 to 18 months. So appreciation outlook for 2021, I mentioned earlier, the mastermind that Lucas and I are involved in. One of the guest speakers they have, his name is John Burns. He is on retainer for Zillow, Home Depot, Lowe's, all the top home builders across the nation, and some government contracts as well. He is as plugged into the real estate market, residential real estate market, as anybody in the entire country. And we're just kind of mirroring a lot of what he said. So we know a little bit, but he knows a lot more than we do. So the market looks great. It appreciated at least 10% in St. Louis last year. It's probably going to at least do that again, if not more, probably more. We're trying to be conservative up here. There's definitely potentially, this is the main thing I get from talking to people, there's going to be a bunch of foreclosures, right? The forbearance is going to be over, there's going to be foreclosures. When this eviction moratorium ends, landlords are going to be selling their houses. And that all may be kind of true, but will that really cause a market dip? There is so much money, like we're talking billions, trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines from these hedge funds, from companies like ours, from you guys just wanting to scoop up houses. So even if there is an influx of foreclosures, in our opinion and other people's, they're gonna get scooped up quickly at not that cheap a price. So there's just not gonna be a huge floor, or not a very deep floor to where the market's gonna go. There's just so much money waiting. And we're at an all-time low in foreclosures, or we were, last year and the year before. So even a decent influx is not gonna, you're not gonna screw up the whole funnel. It's not gonna overload the funnel. There's still plenty of people out there looking for houses. And then also, same thing, we took this from the last one, single family rentals are still one of the best investments. Like I just mentioned, there's billions, if not trillions of dollars on the sideline waiting to get in the market. And then also keep an eye on the interest rate. I think the Fed meeting minutes from the last few months have stated they're not planning to raise it in the next 12 to 18 months drastically, so that's a good thing for the market. If that starts to rise, I could definitely see somewhat of a softening, but still, interest rates going up a half a point or even a point over a few months is not going to cause the market to crash, in my opinion.
So with that market outlook, what is our goals for 2021? So we're gonna add another 22 single-family rentals at minimum.
At minimum, we looked at a 42 pack of houses and we looked at 22 pack now, but at least 22.
Okay, that'll get us there. And so we'll get up to 90. We're gonna purchase another self-storage, which we're already under contract on. And I think we're gonna go after a multi-family property this year. We'll probably look at in the $800 to $1,000 range, so a little more higher end on the apartment side of things, and maybe one with some room to spread out, maybe a bigger apartment with a courtyard or something. So people are comfortable going there and not feel like they're stacked on top of each other. We talked about our Troy storage solution project. We're gonna get that construction done. We're gonna fill that baby up with awesome tenants, and then we're gonna close on that refinance here, hopefully at the end of the year, and get it on a long-term note, and hopefully put some money in our pocket as well. And if we do all that, we'll get up to a portfolio value of about $16 million at the end of the year, conservatively.
Yeah, conservatively, I think that's just appreciation, but yeah, that we trying to be conservative should be around that.
Yeah, and then we're gonna start to pay off a few single-family rentals, 1 to 3, at least one. There's just so many benefits to paying off one of your houses. It increases cash flow. You can get a line of credit against a paid-off house that you can use for rehabbing or private lending. So we're gonna start paying off a few houses a year going forward here.
All right, so here's what we have to offer you, and then we got question and answers. So get your questions ready. I got a couple minutes maybe, and then we're gonna start answering questions. We'd love to answer as many as we can. So how we can help you? We have our YouTube, we have our TikTok, we have our Instagram, other things that we offer for free. I've been told all the time from a lot of the other creators in the space that we give away too much information for free. We don't hold it close to our chest and then people pay for it. Well, that's just how we do things, and that's how we operate. So go there, check those out if you haven't. We give a lot of ways for free on those platforms. We do have that rental academy I talked about earlier. If you're at all interested, talk to any of us up here, or just find us at a different time. It's Brian, Luce, and I teaching once a week for 10 weeks. You get unlimited access, lifetime access, and we teach every single thing we know about growing rental portfolio from agency and using other people's money. And then we have a mastermind. We meet weekly. We have a weekly Zoom meeting. I host one, Lucas hosts one, and Brian hosts one. With our team, we meet weekly, have accountability. We have a monthly training from either us or an industry professional. And then something that we're getting ready to get going that I think everybody's going to be excited about. We have a 2-time in-person a year meeting. Probably going to move it to 3 next year, but we're meeting in June in St. Louis with our entire team, with our entire mastermind. It's about 41 members right now. I'd say probably 25, 30 in St. Louis. The rest of them are from around the country. They're all flying in. And then we also are going to meet in Florida, which will be fun here later in the year when it gets a little colder up here. So, not a huge sales pitch, just want you guys to know if you do want more, which I think a lot of people do after they start to see the power of it, and you want our help and guidance and coaching, we do have options for you.
Awesome. So we're not done yet. Hang tight, but let's do about 15 minutes of Q&A. If anybody has a question, go up in line up by Brian Schroeder up there, and we'll create a line of about 10, 15 people or so. And there's a mic up there, and we'll do about 15 minutes of deep dive Q&A. Go ahead, introduce yourself and give us your question.
I'm Pat Flynn. I'm with American Nationwide Funding. I do hard money loans as well as takeout loans and every other kind of loan. The question I have is how do you structure the purchase of your particular rentals? Are they all individual properties or are they pools or what?
Yeah, so we normally buy one house at a time using private money. And we buy the house in an LLC. we want to keep somewhere around 20 to 50 houses in each LLC, and then we'll start another LLC. So we could buy one at a time or packages at a time, but we're using private money, fixing them up, refinancing out and back in, so we're not using any of our own cash to do.
And that first purchase that you're gonna add, is that purchase set up in a separate LLC or just added later?
We purchased the property in the same LLC that we put in Georgia.
And we're following.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome, thank you. Question, with all the money being printed, some increase in our rental rates, no doubt. It hasn't quite matched what we've seen with the value. So in other areas of town, what we're paying for rentals, it's hard to get them to cash flow. So that's something we are keeping in mind. But it's really hard to match it based on inflation. But we're doing what we can and what the market calls for. That's really all we can do. And the biggest thing we do is making sure to buy at a discount as much as we can. You know, maybe we'll pass on something that we would have taken down because of that, but in general, you know, just buying at, 75%, 70% max repairs, it can really help shelter a lot of that.
Merle. Hey, I think that was an inspiring presentation. Let's hear it for him. I think that was awesome. No, I had a couple of thoughts. I got, there's somebody in the room that was texting me and he said, see, I told you there was going to be short sales and foreclosures. And I can't tell you who it is. His name rhymes with Brian Kaufman. But I think the difference between 2008 and what we see now, even though there was some difficulty in the COVID period, in 2007 or so, if you were running into problems, your home was dropping by 8% a year. At this point, it's popping by 8%. We're so short on inventory. Why would you foreclose, even if you're don't have a job? You like list it and sell it and get 12 offers. Like, what the hell? So the other thing I was going to point out, depending on where you are, but I'm a real estate agent. So I talked to Ben and Donna last night. Ben and Donna are retired. And they've been living in their home in Incline Village for 18 years. And they said they are under the process of building a home. And they're going to be nice. And they're going to rent their home out, the present home, to their daughter Becky and their husband. And kind of questions. So I said, think about it. There's a 2 out of 5 rule. If you lived in a residence for 2 out of the last 5 years, if you can answer that and you sell it, and if you can answer that as yes, I said, you have got to have 150,000 of gain. He goes, that's right, we paid about 100, it's worth 250. I said, do you realize if you lease it to your daughter for 3 years and 1 day, and then you sell it, you're gonna have 30,000 of capital gains. But if you sell it right now, you'll have that 150,000 100% tax-free. And he goes, I gotta come in and talk to you. So think about that. If you have, even if it's yourself and you're thinking, I'm living in a home, I want to start a rental, wife and I are saying it's time to move to a bigger home, and we're just going to keep that home and start renting it out. Like my home, I've been in for 20-some years. I have 150,000. I own 6 homes in my subdivision. If I moved out, mine would be the worst one in the world for rent. I need to sell it. Think about it.
Yeah, that's a great thought, Merle. And, there's a lot of talk about maybe raising the capital gains rate, tax rate as well. So I think a lot of investors see that are going to be offloading some properties here, whether it be multifamilies or single families or whatever that they've owned for a while. So us as investors got to be ready for that. And hopefully that creates a little inventory for investors and also agents looking, have buyers looking for houses.
Go ahead, Sam.
I was just curious when you guys started, did you start flipping and selling houses in the beginning, or you just switched right into the buying one?
That's a great question. So when we got started, what did we get into? And I got asked that question quite a bit, and it was based on our long-term goals. So we started off with a rental property. because that's what we wanted. And a lot of people will start out wholesaling and fixing flipping because they want the cash now. So if you're thinking about getting started, I kind of say look at two things. Look at your long-term goals. The rentals, you do not have to wholesale. You do not have to fix and flip. You can use other people's money, so you don't need, it's nice to have a little bit of cash reserve, but you don't need a ton. So if your goals are rentals, get into rentals. But the other part of that is your short-term cash position. If you need cash now, if you want that cash now, then probably fix and flip and wholesale. But we got right into rentals. Our first 4 or 5 purchases were rentals, and then we came across flip and ended up flipping. But yeah, we started with rentals. Our end game is rentals. The whole reason we're doing all of this is to grow our rental portfolio. So.
Yeah, well, so let me add to that just a little bit. We had pretty decent full-time jobs, state jobs. So that was our active income. And then we're able to buy fast. Flipping is great.
And then also, could you share like your Instagram handles and others?
Yeah, for sure.
It's on the screen. that shows-
It's okay. Yeah, it's all under Faster Freedom. The package is Faster Freedom. Yep. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions before we break for drinks? All right.
All right. We'll be around if you guys want to hang out for a little while.
All right. Thanks, guys.